I recently extended my magazine plates from 17 round standard to 23 round standard. And I will say, I feel pretty badass.
Well, calm down, Dylan Roof, okay?
Who's that? Is that the Unabomber?
Something like that. Cue Kenny Loggins. Put on your big Hollywood sunglasses and light the torch, because it's cellar time. Welcome to the Crack Cellar, as the prophecy was foretold. I'm Two-Spirit Penguin Daniel.
And I am Broadcaster Nickels.
And today we discuss the pending litigation of Nintendo against the creators of Fall Guys, Ultimate Knockdown, or Knockout. I forget what the subtitle is exactly, but...
Battle Royale.
So what a weird game this is. How much have you played?
I've played a lot. It's a shameful amount, to be honest.
It's like they took the core gameplay of the Mario Party minigame and expanded it into a battle royale in just a very bizarre fashion.
That was the first impression I got, for sure. It was just like, well, it's like a very limited Mario Party. You know, there's like a handful of games. And it's just very... I don't know. You're doing the same thing. It's just an obstacle course, really. There's not a lot of variations like Mario Party brings, like go-karts and, flying mechanics and, chasing mechanics and stuff like that. They might evolve the game to do that, because I definitely see them having the capacity to do so, but
they might not to avoid litigation.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, there's never been a more Nintendo game release that wasn't made by Nintendo ever.
For sure. You know what? The first idea that popped in my mind, though, for the game to go forward with next was and this might be out there. I'm hoping we have some fans out there that can feel this energy. Legends of the Hidden Temple, bro. As soon as I saw the beans, I was like, dude, you could have the blue barracudas, the blue or purple, whatever. I'm too old for that shit. I don't remember all of them, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And the game is already built that way, so you could actually have like where you have one member of each team kind of go up to a challenge and compete, and then you overall see what teams have the most points and then eliminate them as you go. I'd like to see something like that, because that's honestly what the game is really lacking, that it's already trying to do. Is some of the mini game. Well, I don't know if you call them mini games, because they're all mini games, but three of the variants I think are team based, from what I remember, and all of them kind of suck. I'm really pissed off every time I land on them, because it's like, well, if you have a good team, that's cool and you dominate. But if you're stuck with some hosers, then you just get eliminated for no fucking reason.
Yeah, it's weird too, because I've played maybe 12, 13 matches total, and out of all of those matches, I've only gotten one of the team games repeatedly, and it's the egg one, where you get the eggs and put them in the basket.
Egg scramble, yeah.
I've never gotten another one. It's always that one for some reason.
It's funny you say that, because that was going to be my next point about this game, is that the more and more I play it, the more variants I get in the game. But that was the first notion that popped in my head when I started playing this game. I was like, why am I always getting egg scramble? Like, seriously, like, it was egg scramble and DoorDash always seemed to be like this repeated thing. Like, I always get DoorDash in the beginning, and egg scramble would always come up on the third game.
Yeah. It does seem like it kind of sticks you with a meta in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then lets you get good at that or something, because I didn't get the door game all the time in the beginning, but I got a different one all the time in the beginning. The one with the spinning platforms that you jump with, like the bars.
The whirly-turly.
Yeah. I got that one almost every match.
Yeah, I pretty much nailed that map at this point.
Yeah.
I'm a fan for sure. I like what the game is doing. There's no doubt about it.
I think it's a good proof of concept, but not a good game.
No, it loses its luster too quick. It's one of those games that's in between games, you know, like not as in like in between as in like I'm only going to play this at one point in time and then forget about it. No, it's like one of those games where I'm bored of this game, but I still want to play with my friends. Let's all play Fall Guys for a couple games and then bounce type of thing, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely a party game, but it's a party game that you can't really play with a party, so it's kind of antithetical to its own existence.
Yeah, it feels very beta in that way. Yeah. You know, I whether it's a Legends of the Hidden Temple thing or not, I definitely foresee them doing a party-based variant of that game. Because even as it stands right now, when you party up, that's it. You're just partying up. There's no point in partying up. Mm-hmm. You barely see the other person you're partying up with, you know?
Yeah, and there's no teams either, right?
So like, when it comes to an elimination round, you're still pitted against them, you know?
Yeah, it's a little weird.
If anything, it's kind of funny because now that I'm saying it out loud and thinking about it, games actually usually purposely do not allow you to do that, because now you're actually actively allowing somebody to enter the game and sabotage other people for another person.
Yeah, it's definitely not something typical of these types of games, but the whole game isn't typical of these types of games, so no surprise.
And the whole game is kind of based on sabotage. I don't know how many times I've had the golden ticket snatched from me at the last second.
Yeah, and speaking of things being snatched at the last second, Tencent. Trump bans Tencent. Broadcaster Nickels, is League of Legends gone?
You know what?
Is it time to say goodbye
League of Legends
to our old friend?
Was down the river a long time ago. All right. It was like Boromir on fucking Lord of the Rings, bro. He was being lit aflame down the fucking river. All right.
Yeah, that game's peak must have been in like 2010. I think that its peak is literally 10 years old now. It's crazy.
I'm kind of wondering what it means for current game, like more upcoming games, if you will, developers and studio houses that have leaned on that money to get their next games out. And on top of that, with all this pandemic shit going on, you know, it's like now you're taking Tencent away, which was like the milk, the tit for a lot of these companies.
Yeah.
Especially Bungie.
There's a lot of companies that they have little stakes in, which I found interesting. Like there's only a few they have huge stakes in, like interestingly enough, Epic, who's currently suing Apple. Interesting coincidence there.
Epic is a weird one, aren't they? Every time I hear about Epic and Tim Sweeney, I'm just like, I don't know if I like absolutely fucking despise you or if there's some hope for good with you. You know, like every once in a while you say some things and I'm just like, absolutely. But who's saying that? Tim Sweeney? Really? What?
Yeah. It's interesting. Fortnite, it's supposedly the biggest game in the world, and the creator of that is 40% owned by China. And now that entity seems to have been banned de facto, although there is some consternation about whether or not Tencent is included. Tencent's parent company is explicitly banned from doing business in the United States of America as of like September 14th, I think. Tencent is a subsidiary of that company, so by the letter of it, you would think they would be a part of this, and it could have some really interesting impact on the gaming industry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure Tencent has like 90% reach in the gaming industry. I'm sure they're around that number. I know that seems preposterous, but if you look it up, I'm pretty sure all projects coming forward and things that were made in the past 5 years, I think Tencent is really in that majority. Like 80 to 90% they have their tentacles in.
Yeah, they have tiny little stakes in all these companies. Not enough to be like anything big, but when you look at it big picture, they'd have little tentacles in everything, just about. And we just banned them. They're gone now, apparently. Supposedly. I don't know, though, because then there's this other caveat where, oh, if TikTok sells to Microsoft, we're going to stop the ban. But it's like, what does that ban... So, wait a second. TikTok can save Tencent? Is that what I'm hearing? Like, is this like a kidnapping deal that I don't know, man. There's some 4D chess going on with this whole thing, I believe. There's more to it. And I think the caginess about who's included and who isn't is on purpose to worry people.
Well, I think it's one thing sitting on top of another. Obviously, at the base of things is a very political subject going on between, America and China right now. But I think it's just on top of that, I think it's a mutual destruction of property or passing the torch, That's either or. It has to be that. So when it comes to, public relations with China and America, and they're kicking all of China's property out of America, but China has a huge brand and they can't do anything with it. And America likes that brand, and a big chunk of a generation loves that brand. It's like there's a mutual sale there, Mm-hmm. Like it's not hard to think for a lot of people, and I honestly think that's what's kind of going on. I don't think there's a lot of there's a lot more conspiracy out there you can rest your mind on. This seems a little bit more straightforward. It's just like TikTok's definitely a tendril of the CCP. Well, what is it? ByteDance? ByteDance is definitely a tendril of the CCP, and we're not doing good with them right now. Therefore, they're not allowed to operate in this country, especially after we found out what they're doing with their said assets in this country. And it's just like, well, what the fuck are they going to do with TikTok? Might as well sell the name to us and let us fucking just have it. They found it. They found you out. Like, make some money off it at the last minute and run.
Yeah. Yeah. When I think of Tencent, I kind of compare them to the Foot Clan in the original Ninja Turtles movie. You remember that? Did you ever see the original Ninja Turtles movie?
Yeah, for sure.
Remember how basically the Foot Clan recruited like disgruntled teenage boys that were mad at their fathers by like saying, yo dog, come down here. You can play your favorite video games. You can drink pop all day in our chill little sewer cave hideout thing. And, one day we might just call upon you for revolution. That's kind of how I look at Tencent. Like, they're just getting their tendrils into all the stuff our kids like. Fortnite being the biggest example. Fortnite is really big with teenage kids. And they now all hate Trump probably because they think Trump's trying to take their video game away from them. And it just reeks of Shredder being like, now you see, your parents are evil. They're trying to take away your freedom from you. Are you going to fight back? Like, there's just this little undercurrent of, subjugation.
I really think that tactic is really being dispelled nowadays, though. Like to point at one person, even if they've been sitting in office for 4 years or whatever, or someone that's trying to get into office, and they're just like, these people are trying to take away this. It's just so tropey. It's
if you go to Twitter, man, it's kind of true. All the stuff on Twitter I've seen about this whole 10-cent ban, it's a bunch of Fortnite kids that are pissed off about it. Like they're all on China's side, which is just kind of like, I know they don't realize they're on China's side because they're not thinking that far through it. But like at the end of the day, that's whose side they're on the issue. And it's kind of like, well, they kind of did it. That's what Tencent's done. They've now kind of turned a generation of kids against their own country.
Yeah, it's the benevolent ambassador. It's the tactic of them. It's what they do. That's why I've never understood why we've ever allowed relation it baffles me that we allow China and the world allows China to have things that they don't allow anybody else to have in their country, but we allow them to have in our countries. Yeah. It's just weird. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's just man, there's a lot of subversion in the world nowadays, isn't there?
Very much so. I feel like Epstein didn't kill us.
Well, speaking of Chinese subversion, are you ready to get to our preview of Top Gun Maverick?
Beep boop. Deep. Hits pen asterisk.
You've got mail.
What's that? You want more Crack Cellar? This is good. Join your lords on Twitter at The Crack Cellar and Facebook.com/The Crack Cellar.
Hey, you over there. Are you a straight-up Chad or a strong woman? Well, you can find us on Apple Podcasts and your favorite podcasting app. Or, if you're a straight-up beta cuck, find us on YouTube with the rest of the Cloud Chasers. And we're back with our preview of Top Gun, Maverick. Broadcaster Nickels, the very first thing I heard about this movie was that China demanded they rip the Japanese flag off of the military flak jacket of one Tom Cruise and replace it with the flag of the CCP. What the fuck?
I can't. Are you being serious?
I'm being serious.
What?
Yeah.
You're lying.
No, I'm not, dude. Like, I didn't even know the movie was being made. Then one day, I just saw a random article about Top Gun Maverick. I'm like, what? I look at the article, and they just casually are like, you'll notice in this leaked scene that the jacket of Tom Cruise no longer has the Japanese flag. This is said to be because of the funding coming directly from China. I was just like, man, oh man, does China not have anything that they have their tentacles into? Anything. The most American movie, Top Gun, like one of the most American movies ever made. Right up there with the good, the bad, and the ugly. For just total Americana. And China's like, dog, we need you to take that Japanese flag right off that shoulder.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't say it doesn't go in line with the theme of the movie because it all seems pretty depressing. The only thing that doesn't seem depressing to me is, well, I think we can all agree, Jennifer Connelly is still smoking hot, and Tom Cruise is definitely not banging her because he's way too short and he wishes he was banging her. And that's the face I got from him constantly through those trailers, which gives me hope as, you know, a young buck that is definitely willing to take on the responsibilities of taking care of one Jennifer Connelly. Hit me up. You can get me at the Crack Cellar on Twitter.
Does Jennifer Connelly strike you as like the Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia type of chick that goes to bars to pick up younger dudes? I just get that vibe from her.
Between me and you, I pray to God every night that's the case.
Every night. Yeah, she's not in the trailer much, but
where were we?
Where she was in it, she was strikingly attractive as usual.
Yeah, but what I was saying is that the theme of the trailer was kind of dark. You know, from what I got was they're going with drones and shit like that, and they're kind of making fun of Maverick, Tom Cruise's character, because he hasn't taken up the higher positions, you know, the pencil pushing positions, the desk job, or whatever it is. I'm not a military guy, so I'm not trying to belittle any position here. I'm sorry. But anyways, he's clearly supposed to not be the hot shot anymore, and he's supposed to be a respectable professional, you know, Army or Navy or Air Force person.
Well, he's the instructor of Top Gun Academy now. Clearly, that's...
But he's still the hot shot, though. He clear in that
he's a
trailer.
rogue.
Yeah, in that trailer, they're clearly showing that he ain't like taking any benches. You know, like he's the vanguard still. He's still in the front, taking on the Russians.
Yeah,
Rachel Maddow.
It looks like John Hamm is the new grumpy naysayer guy who's gonna be telling, "Hey, hotshot, you calm down over there. We have procedures." He's gonna be that guy.
Yeah, John Hamm's a lot younger than Tom, right? Like, so
he is, which is
he's like
gonna
15,
be weird.
20 years. So I don't think just
but
because
you couldn't tell by looking at him, could you?
I could for sure. I could.
It's been
Tom Cruise looks good. Don't get me
the original Tom Cruise. It's
Don't
been 34
get me wrong,
years
man.
since the original Top Gun. Tom Cruise looks like he aged 10 years tops.
He ages very well. Don't get me wrong,
Crazy.
but when you compare him to himself, when you don't compare him to anybody else, because people age vastly different or way differently, but if you compare Tom from 30 years ago to Tom's now, you definitely see 30 years worth of aging. You get what I mean? Like, it's not like sometimes people like I did it with Keanu Reeves recently, where I was just like, holy shit, dude, Keanu Reeves is just not aging. What the hell's going on? And then I saw that Bill and Ted trailer with his beard shaved, and it made me, I saw him with his naked face, and I was like, man, he looks old. And then I look back at all these pictures of Keanu Reeves to see if he ever shaved his face, and it's just like, okay, he's definitely aged. You just gotta like witness it.
For sure, but Tom Cruise kept that mystique without a beard.
It's true. He also made his center tooth disappear.
Yeah.
Go on.
So, do you think Chinese money is going to corrupt this movie? Because I already talked about the Japanese flag thing, which is troublesome, but it's not the end of the world. But is it going to go past that? Like, is this storyline going to be like, oh, the Americans did something stupid, and the plot line is going to be China comes in to save Tom Cruise, and then Tom Cruise is going to be like, you know what, China guys, you have it right. I'm going to come teach in the Chinese Academy. The end. Do you think it's going to be some bullshit like that?
No. I think Hollywood's pretty dumb, but I don't think they're that dumb and that out of touch.
Yeah.
But they are pretty out of touch, and you saying that makes me a little less confident that that won't happen.
From what I've heard is that this movie is almost entirely funded by China. That worries me. It just does, because we're talking Kenny Loggins, we're talking volleyball on the beach. We're talking fucking just pure 1980s fast vehicles, fast girls, and hair metal. And what I've seen China do to movies like that has not been good.
Some real patriot killers.
Look at the Karate Kid, what they did to the Karate Kid as like an example of how China morphs American stuff to kind of say their message rather than ours. And I don't think it can always be a killer. I think that just because China's funding it doesn't mean it's 100% that it's going to ruin the movie. But it does just give me a little pause, because I hold the original Top Gun in a super high regard. Like, this movie made an entire generation of kids want to be fighter pilots, dude.
Well, what? I'm 30 years old. I'm coming up on 31 years old. Top Gun came out before I was born, right? So like,
came out when I was 2. Yeah, I saw that movie at a very early age, and it totally set my early what I liked. One of the first memories I have of just like a thing that I like as a human being is fighter jets as like a 4-year-old child. It totally shaped the way I look at certain things. It's one of those type of movies. If you grew up when it came out, it's just pivotal. And
sure.
when I see
Starscream was my favorite fucking Decepticon.
When I see China and Chinese money behind stuff like this, it gives me a little pause. But the trailer looked good. It didn't look like overly being
didn't look like a lot.
No, they were very held back, but
it worries me that we haven't seen anything either. Because prior to this episode filming or recording, I was looking into it a little bit more, and I didn't see everything that I saw was pretty old. Like there's no news on it since COVID or anything.
Yep. And I do think that the whole deal isn't because the movie isn't done. I think this movie is wrapped, cut, edited, out there, ready to roll as soon as they give the word. I think that just none of these companies are willing to fire. They're waiting. They're playing chicken. They're all playing chicken with each other. They're all like, we're going to wait till Tenet releases, and then we'll decide if we're going to end up releasing or not. No one wants to be the first to reopen, and
which is killing it in the UK right now.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Is it out in the UK right now?
Yep. It's killing it.
Shit. That means there are pirated copies on the internet.
Possibly. Allegedly. Here on the Crack Cellar, we don't condone nor, well, we'll say condemn the actions of open sea skills and, shadiness.
Speaking of shadiness, what do you think, Broadcaster Nickels, of the rumor that Iceman is going to connect Top Gun Maverick to Tenet?
I think that the likelihood of that is about as high as Val Kilmer getting into shape for this role.
Oh, you think we're gonna get the tubby Val?
No, I don't think he's tubby anymore. I think he's just I think he's just.
Well, the last thing I saw him in was.
I'm not going to hate on him too much, but I don't think time is treating him too well.
Well, no, we saw him in Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah,
and he looked a shell. He looked a shell of himself.
Yeah, looked old.
He looked old. Yes, but he also looked. He
didn't look like fucking
wide.
Tom Cruise, which is crazy. All right. When you really this is the real shocker, because we're talking about Tom Cruise aging and how well he looks. Yeah. But when you don't compare him to himself, and you compare him to the likes of someone that's the opposite, like Val Kilmer, it's sad. They can't be that drastically different in age, right? A couple years, few years.
I'm going to say that Val Kilmer is 3 to 5 years older than Tom Cruise.
Yeah, that's just crazy because Tom Cruise isn't going to look like that.
Because in the original, Tom Cruise looked like he was 17 or 18, and Val Kilmer looked like he was 22, 23.
Yeah.
But who knows if that's the actual, gap between them. That's just based off how they looked at the time.
Right.
It's weird watching Top Gun as an adult when you first saw it as like a 3 or 4 year old, because you look at Tom Cruise as an adult and you're like, oh, that's a kid. Tom Cruise is a fucking kid in this movie.
This is a trip.
Now we're going to see old man Cruise instruct a bunch of cadets on how to be a Maverick.
Dude. Iceman, dude, oh my god. I can already see it. Iceman just comes in on a fucking wheelchair and he's just going up to Maverick. He's like, what are we here for? Just to suffer.
Dude, if that happens, oh god. That would make the movie. And speaking of the trailer, it did look like did you notice the dogfight scenes? I think those were real. I don't think those were CG. What do you think?
No, those are absolutely real. I watched them. I watched some extended scene footage or whatever, and they actually doing a pretty cool thing where they're having this 6-lens camera, this 6-lens IMAX camera in the cockpit of real fighter jets, and they're capturing all the real footage of them flying. So all those scenes you're getting are them.
So they're doing it the same way they did Top Gun original. Because that's exactly how they did Top Gun. Just
with better cameras.
Hell yeah.
So you're seeing them pull the real G's and everything.
Yeah. That's what's up, because there's no way you could do this shit with CG. That was part of the reason Top Gun was so amazing, is because it was all real. And if they went CG, I would have been very disappointed.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, it's kind of crazy that it's even happening, because one, the military just isn't really hot right now. Patriotism isn't really hot right now, let alone the most expensive part of the military, fucking fighter jets.
Oh God,
so, so it's, it seemed like you would think at least that they wouldn't want to do that movie, but they're doing it really well. They're doing it like in a homage to aviation,
Yeah, it looks like it's staying true to itself, and it's weird to say that about a movie that seems to be entirely funded by China, but man, oh man, does it really seem, based off of what I've seen so far, to be genuine, and it's an attempt to say, this is going to be just like Top Gun. This is going to be what you remember. It's not going to be some, we're reimagining what Top Gun would be with strong women or multicultural Afro samurais.
There's definitely some strong women in there. I saw them.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm going to give this movie the benefit of the doubt so far because it has not shown me anything too worrying. Or is there something you've seen that is worrying you right now?
No, I mean, some of the acting choices, I think.
You mean like the recruit people, like the kids that he's training?
Yeah. I mean, I'm always apprehensive of the new people coming into like existing IPs, because I always feel like it's just this intruder effect, or it just doesn't seem necessary. It's like, why are you fucking here?
Yeah.
But sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And to further that point is I don't like, I've never been a fan of the main new recruit actor, the main male lead. He was in Fantastic Four and a few other movies, and I don't know. He's just always he was in Ready Player One, wasn't he?
What? He was?
Maybe not. Maybe I'm making that up. Was that him in Ready Player One?
I did not recognize any of the recruit kids as previous actors. I thought they were all new people that I've never seen before.
Yeah. Well, only one of them was an actual, known actor. No, it's not him. But it kind of looks like him.
Yeah. Well, Broadcaster Nickels, the final question I must ask you before we move on to our review of Ghost of Tsushima is, will Kenny Loggins return? Because in my estimation, if I do not hear Danger Zone in this movie, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be very upset.
How's Kenny Loggins doing? Kenny Loggins, let me know how you're doing. No one's asking. I'm asking. All right?
If you want to...
Are you in the danger zone right now? You can come to Papa Nickels, all right? Come to the Crack Cellar. We'll let you in as our first guest. That's pretty exclusive.
You can be a permanent co-host.
Kenny
Loggins, the offer's out.
You heard it from the Two-Spirit Penguin himself, Kenny. I mean, can I call you Kenny? I feel like I can call you Kenny. Anyways, Kenny, come on down to the Crack Cellar and be our first guest.
Well, Broadcaster Nickels, on that note, do you give Top Gun Maverick a thumbs up, a thumbs down, or the dreaded side thumb?
I think I'm going to give it a semi-erect thumb.
I'm not sure how to take that.
Not a side thumb. I don't know if anyone's deserving of that in 2020. Maybe. I guess I'll ponder that later. I'll give it a fully erect thumb.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a thumbs up too. I think it just looks, there's a genuineness into the way the trailer portrayed it, whereas I don't get the alarm bells that I often get with sequels to old movies, where I'm just kind of like, oh fuck, here we go again, like with Star Trek, J.J. Abrams Star Trek, shit like that, where you're just like, red alert, something is wrong. I'm not getting that with what we've seen so far, but it's limited too. So who knows? Could end up being a travesty, but so far I am encouraged by what I've seen, and also intrigued by the fact that you do not see Val Kilmer, aka Iceman, in the trailer whatsoever. That is the dark horse point to what I've seen so far. Is he just a cameo?
Probably, no doubt. I just don't think he's in great health to do a lot of scenes. I think what he'll be there is very limited.
I don't think he'll be in a jet.
No,
because it's
way.
real.
No,
so
I
don't think he's healthy enough to be in a jet.
Yeah.
So that's sad because honestly, the interactions between him and Tom Cruise in the original Top Gun is part of what made the movie special. Their rivalry was intense. And I think it actually inspired a lot of anime rivalries that came later on. But,
no doubt, dude.
That being said, Broadcaster Nickels, are you ready for our review of Ghost of Tsushima?
Yes, senpai.
And we're back with our review of Jason Connell's Ghost of Tsushima. And the creator of this video game describes it as the following. Set in 1274 on Tsushima Island, the last samurai, Jin Sakai, must master a new fighting style, the Way of the Ghost, to defeat the Mongol forces and fight for the freedom and independence of Japan. Broadcaster Nickels, I don't know about you, but I always thought the last samurai was Tom Cruise.
Well, step the fuck aside, because Jin Sakai is way cooler. Sorry, Tom. I like you. It has nothing to do with you being white. I promise you that.
My overall take on this game is Far Cry Samurai Tactical Tenchu Action. What do you say, Broadcaster Nickels?
I think that's pretty on point. I honestly, you could say it's a lot of games because it blends up at least a handful of games really well together. But my main background would be, when I see it, is Tenchu for sure. I see Tenchu released into an open sandbox, and then slowly you're told that you can play like Tenchu again.
But they make you feel bad for it.
Yeah, they do.
They like pepper these little kind of cutscenes in, and without being too specific, they basically guilt you for the tactics you're using as you play throughout the game, which is quite an interesting directional choice, honestly.
It is, because when you're first playing one style becomes a thing at a certain part in the game, but you're a noble samurai starting off, right? And you're slowly introduced into this world that's not so honorable. And when you see it from the outside initially, you're just like, oh, these are going to be two distinct paths you can go down. Mm-hmm. And some of the choices, I'll just say just that. There are choices in the game that make you think just that. That you're going to have a path you go down, or it's all going to culminate to something. And that's not really the case. Now, they do play into some certain dialogues and stuff like that, but they did a really good job making you feel weight with things that are somewhat trivial.
Yeah, and our experiences in this game are probably going to be much different. I played through the game doing only story mode, ignoring all side content, all the way till about 75% through. And then at that point, I went back and I did a few of the mythic quests that give you super moves, the Heavens Slash or whatever, and then the long bow with the fire arrows, the exploding arrows.
Yeah.
And so basically this game, if you do that, if you don't do the side content, there's a lot of side content, the game is much different. You are struggling all the way through because you get a lot of your power from doing side content. When you skip it, you'll eventually just get roadblocked at certain points where you're just getting annihilated on some of these levels because you don't even have the right stance to kill the enemies you're getting surrounded by.
Yeah.
It's like a super hard mode that's esoteric that you don't actually pick. like with a command. It's like easy, normal, hard. It's just a way of playing the game that just kind of presents the situation, which I found really interesting, honestly, once I realized that was happening, because I didn't realize the progression was tied to side content until you told me, because you were going through it doing all the side content.
I will say that it gives you the ability to circumvent the difficulty in this game. And I don't know how I feel about it, because I hit hard, and at first I was like, oh shit, this is hard. And then I got one extra stance, and I got the water stance, and that's all I'll say, because I don't want to spoil anything else. But you get another stance called the water stance. It's the immediate next stance you get. And this is, like all the other stances, supposedly only good against one style of combat. But as you'll learn as you go into the game, that if you hold down triangle in water stance and then rapidly press triangle, you do this move that's meant to break shielded enemies. But in duels, which are probably one of the hardest parts of the game because it eliminates all your other abilities in combat besides just sword-to-sword combat, it just kills those duels. It destroys them.
Yeah, the water stance is interesting because I didn't get water stance till the middle of Act 2. And
crazy. Just crazy to me.
It made getting to the middle of Act 2 so effing difficult. Because I played on hard as well. And there were some of these missions where it was just all shield guys, and I did not have water stance, and like trying to beat them all in sword stance. It's crazy. It was so hard. I had to go through some of these levels like 40 fucking times till I had to play perfect, everything perfect to do it. And then eventually I got water stance, and then the game significantly got easier. It just took a lot longer for it to get easier for me because I didn't do the side content, because the way it works is you get these stances from killing enemy leaders. And these leaders are, they're in the main story missions, but there's a lot of them in the side content. So if you do the side content early, you get these stances early, and it lets you go through the story content easily.
No doubt. Yeah, make too easy. Way too easy. Like, as I said, it destroyed the hardest difficulty almost immediately because I did it way earlier.
But without going into specifics, I think you'll agree that despite that, the boss fights were hard on hard difficulty, no matter what, because you couldn't really use stances to your advantage in those boss fights. Those boss fights were just like, you have to be perfect all the way through.
I mean, not really.
What?
No, dude. I mean, I got to the point where I had I think 8 or 9 different resolve orbs. You know, I had charms.
Wait,
I had
8?
level 2. I had level 2 charms. You know, like there's level 1 charms. You start getting it all lands. Well, once you start doing enough like shrines and stuff, you get level 2 versions of that. Let's say this: you can get to a power level in Act 1. Before you even get a quarter of the way through Act 1, you can start doing side content that will bring you up to enough of a power level to do the rest of the game on the highest difficulty with ease if you're an average gamer.
Yeah.
I'll just say that. And there's 3 regions, so there's 3 parts. And in the first third of the first part, you can attain power that destroys the rest of the game.
Yeah, basically the difficulty you choose makes a difference, but the real difference is in how you do the side content. That's what really chooses your difficulty in this game.
Absolutely.
Which is very interesting choice from a design perspective. But did you play the game dubbed or in Japanese?
Subbed, for sure.
Okay.
Man, I couldn't imagine playing it in American. They might have good voice actors. I never checked it out.
Neither did I. I went straight to the sub and didn't look back. And I was very, very happy about that because our boy Zoro from One Piece plays Jin Sakai.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's one of my favorite voice acting performances in video game history. his
was really
version of
good.
Jin Sakai.
Yeah. He did a really good job. The whole game gave off a really good Akira is it Akira Kurosawa?
Kurosawa. It did.
I was really impressed with how even the side content seemed like a film playing out. Like even the tiniest things, the way they perfected like a handful of elements that they just mass produced for the side content, but it still made it feel good. I don't know. Like every time you completed a side quest, it still felt like you were watching an old Japanese film.
Yeah. And like I said, I didn't do too many of them, but I did do a few on accident at certain points. And I have to agree, even though like they're kind of preposterous and dumb and like, you're just like, really? The ghost is doing this?
Yeah.
The performances in it are just like, wow. I still felt like that was prolific for no reason. No fucking reason, but it felt like it was.
Yeah. And then some of them were just really good for some reason. The graphics, though, is what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
I don't usually like to talk about graphics too much in a game. But that was a beautiful fucking game. Like crazy beautiful. First time I was rolling through those fields with the horse and the fucking flute playing. And you're about, some prolific story shit's going on or whatever. That's just killer, dude. It's just, I could hear the fans in my PS4 revving, every time I went into an open field, it was just like,
yeah, this game has the graphics of the generation. There's no doubt in my mind that this will be when they talk about the PS4 and they say what is like the benchmark for PS4 graphics. They are going to point not to God of War, but to Ghost of Tsushima, because they did things in this game graphically that I couldn't believe. And one of the reasons I introduced our review as Jason Connell's Ghost of Tsushima is he's a director. So I always go with a director. I think that it's their game. They directed it. There are two directors in this game. Jason Connell is the second director. Usually I would not go with the second director. However, Jason Connell is the man behind the graphics in Ghost of Tsushima. So I gave the nod to him. He is responsible for this vision that we have beholden in the year 2020 of just the most amazing next-gen graphics I have ever seen in a video game. Every time I fired this game up, every mission, I would be just faced with another amazing looking vantage point in this island of Tsushima, where, by the way, the travel board of the island of Tsushima, or like the tourism board, they must be psyched about this game, dude, because after playing this game, when I say I want to visit Japan someday, I no longer mean that. I mean, I want to visit Tsushima. That's where I want to visit now after playing through this game. It is the most gorgeous representation of a real life place I have ever seen in my life, period. And there isn't even a close comparison, Broadcaster Nickels.
Yeah. It was, I mean, if I was if I was Japanese native of Tsushima, like I would be very proud and happy, like to have such a great game represent the place you came from.
Oh, dude, for sure.
Because not everyone gets such a respect.
Not at all. Not at all. And you can tell that Sucker Punch has a very high regard for Japan and Japanese culture by the way they represented this country in this game. Like, I've never seen a better representation. It's just like astonishing how they portrayed the Japanese and just this like they're God's children sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like this is God's island and they are God's children.
Yeah, the tradition they really portrayed the tradition of samurai and Bushido and the century that it was occupying really well. I think one of the biggest points that stood out to me was the initial combat where they introduce it with you like declaring yourself like upon them. And you think it's just a game mechanic, right? But it's just, you slowly but surely, because the game teaches you like what samurai are, you realize like this is like literally how samurai were. They weren't about that sneaky shit. They weren't about like even remotely any of that shit. They were totally honorable. That meant them like literally declaring themselves. I'm about to kick your ass and kill you, bro. Take your sword out. Doing this the right way, bro. And if you did it any other way, there was like scoff.
That's true, and the game is just overall really incredibly polished and has like a perfect UI. It's amazing how like the budget of this game just comes through. A lot of these games, you're just like, well, that was cool, I guess. But this game, when you play through it, you're just like, I see where all the money went. I see like the reverence for the subject matter. Like this is just a game's game.
Yeah. The UI is just a reflection of just the game in general. Everything was pretty much perfect for what it was. You know, even I usually get upset, not upset. I kind of get upset about the waste of time. Sometimes gimmicky mechanics get put into games. And when I saw the flute that you could play in this game, I thought it was really cool. And it really added to the ambiance, because sometimes when you just did something really badass, you just whip out your flute. You know, so I just took out 20 dudes and play a flute, a little death song for them. And you can also bow. It lets you participate in this immersive culture they've built in the game. Representation of culture in the game.
Yeah. Also just like the most satisfying like samurai shinobi gameplay of all time, right? Like, have you ever played a game of this type where it has a more satisfying combat? Because I haven't.
Sekiro.
Really?
Yeah. Sekiro has better combat. No doubt about it.
For both, or just samurai, or just shinobi? Just
for challenge. Like if you're talking about aesthetically challenged combat, I think Sekiro takes it over Ghost of Tsushima. Tsushima's good, don't get me wrong. It's too easy. Like once you unlock all the stances, once you, like I was saying earlier, you get to this point where it's just, you destroy everything. You can see how you were supposed to be challenged by certain things, but because you understand you're not a fucking ape and you fucking know how to make tools and stuff, you're just like, oh, well, I can just smash this one technique and it literally just will get me through most things. Anything hard, you know, or if you unlock the explosive arrow, you know, you can just be like, well, there's a certain area, you know, where you're not supposed to have really anything that decimates on that level, but well, you do. So I was going to take all these people out in this area.
Yeah, and
Sekiro doesn't have that.
Surprisingly brutal and gory.
For sure.
Compared to Infamous especially. Because Infamous was kind of PG-13, if you think about it.
Yeah, the first two were. The second one was kind of getting a little bit more brutal, and I heard Second Son's evil ending. It was pretty fucked up. I never played Second Son, though.
Yeah, I don't know, like, the Second Son had its moments, but there's nothing compared to, like, just when Jin goes up to, like, a leader from behind and does the slaughter command on him, and does, like, a Mortal Kombat fatality, like, it's just, like, a different level.
For sure. And with that, I guess we'll get into spoilers.
So what ending did you choose?
What ending did I choose?
Yeah.
I spared the motherfucker.
Oh, shit. All right. So I picked the other ending. So first, let's hear what your ending was all about.
Well, I guess just to make sure it was the same, because maybe there are some subtle differences. You go to meet him at the place where he trained you as a kid, and then he takes you on a little horseback ride, and you get stopped by this downed carriage, and as you help him, he's just like, yeah, I'm on my way to go help fucking the Ghost Army. And Jin plays, he's just like, I have no idea what the fuck he's talking about, and he keeps you riding and slowly find out that you've been declared a traitor by the Shogun, and that it's Lord Shimaru's punishment to take the head of Jin Sakai. And so you face him in that duel, and then my ending was I had mercy on him, and I just walked away. And he told me that I'd be hunted down as a traitor for the rest of my days, and I was just like, whatever, dog, peace.
Yeah, well, I took his life, and it was pretty heartbreaking because once you kneel down and you go into the seppuku position, he says to you, like, thank you, you are my son. Like kind of like makes you feel even more bad for doing it.
Damn.
Yeah, it's pretty like hardcore, like the feels type shit. But I felt like killing him was like a cool plot twist for the ghost, because the ghost gives up all of his samurai trappings, but in the very end he decides to follow the last rite for a samurai. I just thought it was like a cool way for it to end. So that's how I went with it. For
sure. I mean, I think either way it was an appropriate ending. I just the way the story plays out, I kind of felt bad for Lord Shimaru. Mm-hmm. You know, I really did. Like, this was one of those aspects of the game where I was kind of slightly disappointed that you couldn't actually do real choices. Like, at one point, I thought you were going to be able to take the path of the samurai or the ghost, and that meant picking Lord Shimaru or Yuna. And that's not what it was. You just straight it, like, Lord Shimaru just gets the fucking short end of the stick, dude.
Yeah. And that's one disappointment I did have with the game, is I really thought they could have done more with the meaningful choice system.
Yeah. I don't know if it's by design or maybe it's just my mentality, but I feel like the game made you feel for Lord Shimaru. You know, you're just like, well, this poor bastard. He really did everything almost right. I mean, he's a shogun. He's kind of a brutal bastard, but I mean, he did almost everything right.
Yeah, like, I liked the decision to go against him in the end of Act 2, but it's like, why couldn't there be a choice there, like, go against him or stay with him? And then in Act 3, when you go against the Khan, it could have been like, face him as a samurai or face him as a ghost. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there was more potential in the differentiation between the two that they didn't exploit.
There would also been a lot more room for aesthetic and combat driven skills. You know, like they really just let you acquire everything, which may have lent to the OP nature of everything. Whereas they could have split it up. The skill trees, you know, take the path of the ghost or take the path of the samurai. And on top of that, then comes in the aesthetics of the armor and shit. Like, you being able to be like this fully ornate, badass samurai, shogun armor wearing motherfucker, and you're sneaking on a rooftop and doing a double assassination. Like, no, that's not going down, bro.
Yeah, I felt like there were two games in this game that could have been, but they only made one of them.
Yeah, for sure.
But also, Kodokan was a fairly vanilla villain, don't you think? Like, it started out a little interesting in the beginning, where he was kind of like interrogating the dad or the uncle while he was in prison, and like kind of like, oh, your kid's doing this and that. Do you really support him? Blah blah blah. It made him seem more interesting early on, but then like as Act 2 and Act 3 took off, he like just disappeared and like became one-dimensional as fuck.
Yeah, I think he kind of took a back step for character development in Act 2 and 3. And it was surprising because you thought, oh, maybe he's just going to have a really good end. Not really. But then again, it's kind of refreshing because he wasn't this over-the-top villain. He was pretty straightforward and pretty historically accurate. You know, it's just like he didn't need to be anything else. The battle with him, when you kill him and he throws the poison at you, that made almost no sense to me.
No.
Because they're talking about how, like, if this gets out, this is going to destroy, you know, like the whole island or all of Japan. and he got hit in the face with like a whole bag of it. And they even foreshadowed it. Like, this is the Khan's poison, right? This is the best. It has to be the best, right? Like, is there anything better that the fucking army produced? The guy gets hit in the face with it, and he just takes it like a fucking champ. He's like, whatever, I'm good. I thought that was the end of Jin right there. I was like, oh, okay, he's gonna die fighting for Tsushima. Truly the ghost of Tsushima, right? I get it all now. No, that didn't happen. And if you think that's what should have happened, and Sucker Punch, if you're just like, damn, that's way better ending. I don't know why I didn't come up with that. I'm here, taking calls. You can at me, or you can email me. I don't have an email, but I'll get on it.
One thing that you're talking about, I think that we can both agree on, is that the writing in this game was really good. And it was mainly because it didn't try and do too much. It did exactly what it was meant to do. It stayed on target.
For sure. Very straightforward.
The relationships were extremely well done, too. Like, I really like the relationship between Jin and his uncle, and Jin and his childhood friend. They were just written really well.
Everything was done really well. I mean, Yuna and her brother, Jin and... well, his uncle Shimura or Shimura? I think it's Shimura.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure. But who else am I missing? Am I missing other people? Oh yeah.
There's like a monk guy and a archer guy. There's a bunch of
Norio, or whatever is
that's
the
like
monk.
The Kurosawa element of the game is like you just assemble like this group of like heroes that got your back while you're doing all this shit.
That was definitely the seven samurai aspect.
Yes,
of it. Masako was my favorite though. She was dope. The old lady.
Yeah,
just the bloodthirsty lady.
She reminded me of a Bloodborne character.
She did. She's just like, my whole family's dead. All I see is blood. I'm just gonna kill these motherfuckers.
But yeah, the combat goes like between Dynasty Warrior and Metal Gear Solid quite often. Like you go, this is a straight up samurai battle, then this is a straight up espionage action where there's a lot of missions that you don't kill anyone. That you're not allowed to kill anyone. Just straight up sneaking.
Yeah, those were the true Tenchu levels. I was expecting... what was also funny? Is they had bears in this game. They had caged bears. When I saw that, I was like, man, they really... I don't know if they did that on purpose or if that's just a thing in Japan that they caged bears a lot. But do you remember in Tenchu 2 when you fucking fought that bear at the summit?
Mm-hmm.
It was ridiculous.
That was a hard boss battle.
It is a very fucking hard boss battle. Yeah, but those are the true levels that reminded you of Tenchu quite a bit.
And one thing that didn't remind me of Tenchu is the way the combat evolved towards the end, where like you would have these combos that were possible in late game, even going straight through and not doing a lot of side content. You would be able to do some of the coolest shit I've ever seen in a video game. Like, you start off sneaking behind a commander, you slaughter them, then you activate ghost mode, and you, like, slaughter 5 people in, like, that fast motion, chips enough style kill. Then as soon as you get out, you smoke bomb. And then you fucking do chain assassinations from there. Like there was a scene that I did in one of these missions where it was like one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life. And I just randomly did it on accident in this game. Yeah. That is one of the power points of this game, is that it will show you things like that you didn't think were possible in a video game.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I'm pretty sure it's what Assassin's Creed wants to do, and I think they tried and accomplished in a couple of their games, but have lost it of late. But just this ability to sneak around and just decimate 10 dudes with the equipment you're given and the skills, Mm-hmm. The game does it really well, for sure. But again, it's almost one of the weaknesses of the game, because you shouldn't be able to... It takes away from the sneaking factor or the the straight up like, well, I'm just going to announce myself at the get go and be a real samurai. It takes away from both because it's like, well, first I'll just sneak in here like this, and then I'll jump down and just take, on 20 people, and 4 of them are like 300-pound people with double-sided axes that he could just chop me in half, but somehow I'm gonna, knife him in the neck.
Yeah, they definitely went out of their way to make Jin Sakai look like the most badass motherfucker this side of John Wick.
He's Japan's John Wick, isn't he?
Basically. And on that note, can we please give Sucker Punch the Star Wars license? Because I want to see a Jedi game like this. Open space combat, like an open space world. Just exactly the same type of game, but instead of Tsushima Island, space. And you're just traveling to different planets doing the same type of shit that you're doing in this game, but as a Jedi. I think that's what Fallen Order, I think that's what I really wanted Fallen Order to be, but was disappointed when it was more like a Zelda clone.
Yeah. I think the combat's not so much Zelda, but yeah, it was so shallow.
Well, on that note, Broadcaster Nickels, what was your favorite mission in Ghost of Tsushima?
My favorite mission? I think it was the Act 2 end, I think, when you get your ghost uniform and you go to poison those motherfuckers.
Yeah.
That's when I felt like it was Tenchu, like peak Tenchu.
From the darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my favorite mission too. It reminded me of Kefka in Final Fantasy VI poisoning the well. It gave me the same vibes. I was like, yeah, this is what's up. And then it ended with like the second boss fight with your childhood friend. It's just a really cool mission overall.
That relationship was done really well. Rizo and Jin's relationship.
Is it Rizo or is it Ryuzo?
Honestly, I think Jin's in Japanese says Rizo.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
But I don't know. It's Ryuzo. So it's really like, I mean, if we're doing super white pronunciations, it would be Ryuzo.
Least favorite mission, Broadcaster Nickels.
Oh, there was a lot of them. I did all the side content. I 100%ed this game. So
let's just say main storyline, least favorite mission.
I don't know, man. To be honest, probably just be one of the beginning ones when it still was pretty vanilla. When probably like after the beach, but before you take the first fort. I'm sure one of those was pretty vanilla, non-memorable because I can't remember it. But everything else, like I mean, most of the story beats were super good.
Yeah,
I enjoyed almost every single part of the storyline of the game.
There's one mission that stands out to me. It's called The Coward of Yarikawa. And this mission, I didn't like it for one reason. And it's because most of the mission was you playing Nancy Drew, looking for clues on the ground. Like, is that mission where it's like, oh, let's search for these people. Let's look at some footprints on the ground. Okay, let's look at this. Let's look at that. It's like a bunch of clue collecting type shit.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, that's cool for like one scene, but don't keep doing it. Like they did it all throughout the mission. It's just like, we get it. We get what you're doing here now. It's pretty boring. And, I just thought it was a very non-memorable mission and probably my least favorite of the game as far as main story goes.
Yeah. Sounds like a filler.
But on that note, Broadcaster Nickels, let's get to our segment, the hit, the miss, and the whiff. What is your hit?
The hit would probably be the actual aesthetic of the game. They nailed
Graphics.
it. Yeah. Just everything was in the right place. Right clan symbols. Nothing was made up. The colors, the hats, the way that you acquired them, the lore behind them. Everything was accurate. It wasn't like, here's a dude wearing a bow hunter hat, and you're not going to call it a bow hunter hat, or you're not going to say why it's a bow hunter hat. They had all that, and every nook and cranny of the game. So aesthetically wise, I just think it was a great game. Just to hit it.
Yeah.
Felt like I was a real samurai when I played the game.
Yeah. Well, my hit, I'm going to expand on it a little bit more specifically, but it's also the graphics engine, but more specifically, the lighting engine. I saw lighting effects in this game that were transcendent, that were just like shit that you will never see in any other game that exists right now. Like when you saw the moon for the first time in the
I think my PS4 believes that too. By the sounds of it.
Dude, there are certain things like the moon in the haze and like the sun setting on the ocean and like the effects that they somehow pulled off while like leaves are falling and the grass is swaying. It's just like unbelievably good.
No doubt. Reminded me of Metal Gear Solid 4 on the PS3.
Yep.
When I saw that, I was like, whoa, this is going to be the best thing the PS3 has ever done.
Yep.
Or will do.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good comparison. But with all hits, there too must be a miss. Broadcaster Nickels, what is your miss?
This is going to be a hard one, but I'm going to have to say it's kind of a core mechanic to the game, but the leveling system.
Yeah.
It was way too easily maxed out. It overpowered you. And overall, I feel like took away from some of the impact of the battles that you're supposed to face. Like there are some battles in the game where you're supposed to storm a fort and you got like waves of motherfuckers coming at you. Like you're at least killing 50 plus NPCs. And I just decimate. Smoke bomb, kunai, just everyone's just dead.
How OP are kunai in this game? It's
Dude, how OP is everything? You can light a sword on fire and just fucking. I don't know if you got that or not, but there's the Legend of the Flame or whatever. You climb up a frostbitten mountain where everyone else has died. And the guy at a dojo, somehow he built up there, teaches you the way of the flame that came from a meteorite. No, it's a pretty cool story.
I didn't do that one, but I believe it.
It's just OP, just like the rest.
Yeah, all the moves you get are all OP. That's like the common kind of stream in this game. It's that if you go out of your way to get side content, they give you overpowered shit as a reward.
Yeah. You don't even have to kill anybody. I can see speedrunners just using the bell.
Yeah.
Where they're like, I could see speedruns in this game where it's just bell, 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 all the way through something.
Yeah. My miss is the lack of meaningful choices. Because I thought this game was primed for a KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic meaningful choice system that depended on whether or not you became Darth Jin or Jedi Knight Jin. And instead, what we got is a linear narrative where he becomes Darth Jin no matter what. Yeah. And you just kind of get to choose how he lands on being Darth Jin.
Definitely. It's funny because that's kind of like what my whiff's going to be. Because they do give you morally good choices to make in the game. They give you feel good choices. They're like, you're not a bad person. Don't worry. You picked the right choice. But Jin, well, he's the ghost of Tsushima, so fuck off. He's kind of, But the whiff for me is that none of that had impact on the game. You can't side with Lord Shimura, something like that. You can't, bang Yuna like you should if you want to do that, Well, I mean, what's up with that?
There could have just been like so much more expansion on like how you choose how to become, like you don't have to become fully the ghost or fully the samurai, but they just sort of negate all that potential and just force you down a stream.
Yeah.
Lots of
There's like, don't worry, that didn't mean anything.
Well, my whiff is they killed our goddamn horse. They killed Sora, those bastards.
That's not a whiff.
That's my horse. And they killed my horse. How dare you?
Kage!
You send my horse to the Taco Bell meat processing line. How dare you?
I remember getting up that day and playing that part of the storyline. I wasn't ready. I was like,
surprising.
Yeah, I was like, fuck, man. Now my day is gonna be fucking all mellow, fucking dramatic, sad. My fucking virtual horse friend died today. Thank you from my number 12. Goodbye, lady.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of whiffs in this game, so it's a reach. But I was pissed off when they killed my horse.
It was a sad moment. They made sure it was a sad moment. They really stretched that mile out with that poor lad.
And on that note, Broadcaster Nickels, as you know, on the Crack Cellar Podcast, we use the official, patented Joker rating system. On that system, what do you rate Ghost of Tsushima?
Oh, I'm going to give it a Joaquin Phoenix.
Sounds like a strong Joaquin.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
That movie hit it. It was a hitter.
Yeah, it really was. It was an amazing game. And I, too, give it a Joaquin Phoenix. There were very few flaws. Almost none. It's one of those games where you don't expect it when you play it. You're just like, you don't see it coming. And you're just like, oh, well, here's this game that was just made and sent from heaven. It's like a perfect rendition of what you would want in a Kurosawa PS4 video game. And man, if you're talking about video games as an art form, there is no better example in 2020 than Ghost of Tsushima.
I'm trying to think of a game that is good looking and artistically done as much as Ghost of Tsushima is. It's hard to say. I mean, Metal Gear Solid 5 was really good looking, but it wasn't beautiful like that.
No.
Ghost of Tsushima just blows the fucking water out of the ocean compared to any other fucking game.
It really does.
Right now, at least. I'm sure Crysis, the boys over at Crysis, are like, well, wait for Crysis 2020.
Well, on that note, I think we will close out.
Peace.
Taka!